I'd like to now invite Shek Azizi on stage. So Shek is a staff research scientist and a research lead at Google DeepMind. Her research has been focused on developing developing approaches that facilitate the translation of AI approaches into tangible clinical impacts. So she's particularly been interested in working on designing foundation models for biomedical applications and has led multiple very prominent efforts in this area, including the moonshot projects behind MedPalm, MedPalm 2, which are both Google's flagship medical large language models. She's also the lead researcher on MedPalm M, and it's one of the first demonstration of a generalist biomedical AI. So very excited to have Shek tell us about what she's been up to.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Raul, for the introduction. Hi, everyone. My name is Shek. And today I want to talk about Generalist Biomedical AI. My talk is like more high level, I think, suited for the last talk of the day. Clearly, over the past decade, it has been tremendous interest in applying AI to medicine. And we know that this interest has been like run from universities to many industrial research labs to even like individual researchers that they are passionate about these topics. So we had major improvement in range of single modal and independent application that spanning, like, for example, breast cancer detection, or classifying skin conditions, or like even using AI for like improving genome sequencing and like understanding. So we are even had the opportunity to think very hard about the bias and the harm that AI models may have, and also had progress in increasing awareness around this topic, and also develop ways to medicate it almost. To some degree, we still have issues, but like we had a lot of progress since 10 years ago that AI been like introduced. So obviously, that's like one thing that is like very clear is that there is a huge potential for patient impact and helping people live a healthier life. And even studies shows that actually people expect medical breakthroughs to be the top application of AI. While this is very promising and very exciting, and I'm sure that we recognize the transformative power of AI, it's important to acknowledge that that we are basically dealing with a challenging situation and the scale of the challenge that we have ahead of us to actually navigate AI. And I think it's important to just like take a step back and like to see where we stand now, basically, and think about what comes next in our journey. So we know that since the emergence of deep learning, what we carelessly actually calling AI, like since 10 years ago, and their application in medicine back like in 2013 or maybe 14, when we had like AlexNet coming as like one of the very first AI or basically deep learning architecture that's been like widely used, there has been tremendous progress in core ML applications and core ML methods, which actually resulted in emergence of what we call foundation models and introduction of generalist AI that we are hearing about it like more often. And all of this like core ML progress actually turns out to be driver of many innovation that we see at the application level in recent years. So in summary, what we have is actually back in 2017, introduction of transformers architecture. And second, we had the widespread use of contrastive and self-supervised learning methods, such as like SimClear, MA, that these methods and innovation at the core ML actually helped us to better leverage large-scale data around 2019. So then we witnessed the introduction of Vision Transformer, which was the architecture that actually introduced to fit images as sequence to the architecture of the choice, which was Transformer. And we were interested to tokenize everything. So the scale of data from that time, like back in 2020, it started to be key factor and key drivers of the innovation that we are like witnessing now. So we are witnessing ChatGPT, Palm 2, Gemini, and a lot of LLMs that they are actually building on the power of core ML innovation. And since then, our life clearly changed drastically when we had the innovation of, like, for example, around like introduction of ChatGPT around like a year and a half ago, which is funny. Parallel to this exciting innovation that we had at the core ML level over the past few years, like many other research labs, you heard a lot about the innovation that were happening over the past few years, like at different labs and like different universities. My team also were working on series of research that they were actually telling us about the capabilities of this new architecture and new technology in biomedicine and for medical clinical application. And what the basically exploring that, what the future might look like in the field of biomedicine with AI at its core. That starts from like using self-supervision to enabling interactivity through LLMs and new era of generalist model that we are witnessing now. So this includes fundamental work that we had, such as remedies for robust and efficient medical imaging with self-supervision that actually shaped our understanding of foundational models, promises, and self-supervision in medical domain. So we have a structure, we have architectures that we can use billions of images that they are available in internet. You can learn very strong visual representation using these images and adapt this general representation through these foundation models to medical domain using available unlabeled data that they are maybe at the data centers of hospitals or universities using the self-supervision which doesn't need any labels. For the first time, like back in 2020 or 2021, we showed that these new powerful foundation models can be actually used with minimal label data to be adapted to new application that can basically introducing like 100 times reduction in the need for the label data to reach clinical applicable performance that we have for many different type of like medical imaging. So why this is like fundamentally important? Clearly, if we find a way to reduce the cost, we can encourage further innovation. And we are looking for solutions that bring lower development costs via repetitive process that we can have, that we are seeing in the era of foundational models and through transfer of the representations that we are learning through these like larger scale models. Lowering costs, reduce barrier to trying solution that we need, and enabling our providers to become developer. And in turn, what we are seeing here is that we have the increase in the interest to build more solution for the long tail application that we have in the clinical setting. So after this like early manifestation of foundational models back into 2021 with the work such as like remedies, we witnessed the introduction of powerful large language models such as ChatGPT and PaLM that actually facilitate a new era of interaction and conversational medical AI that we never witnessed before that. This area has been actually very slow moving for many years. And most of our progress that we were like seeing in early age of the AI actually been around medical images alone with the labels and classification labels that we were assigning to them. But this area of slow moving gained momentum with the introduction of MedPaLM, which was the large language model for medicine, and it was like developed by our team. MedPaLM and its successor, MedPaLM 2, built by actually adopting generic LLMs to medical domain by ingesting relevant knowledge and aligning it to medical domain values that it was like important for us back then. So MedPaLM has been introduced as the first LLM that can reach expert level performance on medical question answering benchmarks such as US medical licensing exam, USMLE. And that problem at the time, like back a year and a half ago, being actually a grand challenge. And most of the methods by then being plateaued at 50% accuracy. And we never could have like imagined that an LLM can answer all of that question in one shot. Further, in a side-by-side blinded comparison, we showed that like MedPaLM 2 answers are actually preferred over physician-generated answer for long-form, open-ended questions. And interestingly, this development actually further demonstrate that challenges that we have to evaluate these highly capable LLMs in medical domain, which we never like realized before that. That's like how we should like navigate this problem. We faced the necessity of designing better benchmarks for this application and measuring harm and biases that the LLMs can introduce in the clinical application. And further, we pursued some of these challenges with introduction of the equity toolbox to measure these harm and biases and give us some toolbox to further probe these LLMs. And this work has been like published a few months ago. So LLM clearly has been like moving very rapidly, and we are all like witnessing that. And over the past year, we also have a new trend and a major uprising around generalist AI models, and specifically for biomedical domains application. And the reason is that like we know that biomedicine is inherently multimodal. It's more than a series of independent tasks that we are dealing with, data spanning rich modalities, including text, images, medical records, genomics, and many more. And the data that we collected through the life of a patient and in a longitudinal manner. And we are dealing with interpretation of the wide range of data to actually claiming any type of intelligence in our systems. A generalist agent here in this domain can be defined as a large multimodal model that can flexibly actually encode and interpret all of this information for a variety of biomedical data using the same weight and same model, and enable actually flexible interaction in the form of text or speech with the model and with the user. And why we are interested in these general capabilities and like actually looking at the whole amount of like multimodal is that A lot of people, they're interested to look at multimodal capabilities at heart with the hope of learning emergent behavior. And through sharing of the information between the task and signals that we have, that we may discover new capabilities or activate new things that we weren't aware of them. Towards this vision, over the past year, we have introduced several generalist biomedical agents. That includes MedPalm-M, which is one of the first demonstration of a generalist biomedical AI system. And it's able of encoding and interpretation of modalities that they're spanning text, medical images, multiple type of modalities, EHR, and genomic information in a single agent. And it is able, basically, to perform multiple clinical and biomedical tasks, such as classification, visual question answering, medical report generation, and many more. All of these tasks and capabilities is happening only in a single model, while we are reaching or surpassing the state-of-the-art performance in all of these tasks when we are using a single model. So we improved MedPalm-M very recently by introduction of MedGemini family of the model that including a custom version of Gemini 1.5 Pro. And this model has been trained for expanded capabilities, including 2D modalities, 3D modalities, and genomic information. And in compared to previous demonstration of generalist models and agent, MedGemini is more performant and is more capable in newer tasks and more challenging tasks. And for example, we are explored less explored areas, such as understanding of surgical videos using long context length that they are introduced in new version of Geminis. And we work on interpretation of 3D data and also assessing disease risk prediction using the genomic profile of the individuals. So for example, for the 3D data understanding, which is a less explored area, for these large multimodal models, we tapped into video understanding capabilities of Gemini, replacing the time axis that this model have with depth dimension in 3D data to actually using this foundational model to activate 3D data understanding and for head CT report generation. You can see an example here in these slides that our model being used for a report generation. And this is basically first of its kind foundation model. It can actually do 3D report generation for this type of data, and our expert evaluation showed that 53% of the AI-generated reports lead to equivalent clinical care for the patients. Although this is a very low number maybe, and there is a large gap to be filled, this is a very encouraging result because this capability hasn't been around at all. So MedGemini is also capable of predicting various health outcomes and risk of developing disease using genomic profile. So we can prompt a model in a conversational manner to produce a disease probability score by a text prompt and the genetic risk image that is an innovative way that we are feeding the genomic information to these models for diseases such as stroke, type 2 diabetes, glaucoma, chronic obstruction pulmonary disease, and many major diseases that we are interested in. Also, given the importance of more innovation and development in less explored area that connect actually medical image side of the world with biomedicine, last month we introduced the first generalist model for therapeutic development that we are calling TXLLM. TXLLM is capable of processing a wide variety of the chemical and biological entities, such as a small molecule, protein, nucleic acid, cell line, disease interleaved with free text information. So we can actually converse with our model about this information that we want to feed in it. This is a single model that can be queried for multiple steps of therapeutic and drug development, covering tasks from earliest stage target discovery to latest stage clinical trial approval. So we created 10 million instruction tuning pair out of therapeutic data comment, TDC, thanks to Marianka and the team across multiple institute that they curated this data set. We train our model to handle 66 tasks that are related to therapeutic development over more than 700 data sets in the form of generation, regression, and classification. An example of this task you can imagine about predicting toxicity of a drug in the form of if we feed a molecule to this model, CRISPR repair outcome prediction, or molecule generation, reaction outcome prediction, and many more. So TXLLM actually performing very well, above or near a state-of-the-art for 43 out of 60 tasks that we have, and exceed the state-of-the-art in 22 out of 66 tasks that we have. So to give you a solid example of such basically how this model can perform a role in therapeutic development, this is a toy example. Definitely when we are talking about drug discovery, we are from the earlier talks, we are talking about 10 years of developments and multiple failures and multiple phases of trial. So here you can see a process of actually how TXLLM can be used for reproducing the development of the drug for breast cancer treatment through CAP that has been actually approved a few months ago. This drug never been seen by our model. So what we are doing here is that we are using TXLLM to identify gene-disease association for breast cancer, which give us ATK1 as the important gene that we need to look at it. In the next step, we are using it for drug-target interaction. So we are giving the molecule of this drug that is unseen to our model with the gene that is a mutant, and we are measuring the inhibition of this drug for this gene, which actually giving us that this TrueCap drug can be used for inhibition of this gene. Then we are using it for predicting the toxicity of the drug, which is giving us the true prediction. And then we are using to predict this chance of the success of clinical phase 1, 2, 3 of the trials, which all of them, they are targeting that and saying to us that this drug can be approved. So this is very amazing. This is only a demonstration, I would say, at this stage, and definitely there is more to be done in this field, but this is very encouraging that we can use an LLM, that is a generic form of large language models for interaction, to actually feed many type of sequence without even touching the type of the encoding that we have for this molecule and sequence, to reduce the loads and reduce the chance of failure, which is close to 90% of the time in this process. So with that, I would like to take a moment to talk about what's the North Star vision here, which is definitely beyond the proof of concept that we are seeing here, which I presented today. Clearly, things are moving very fast. To give you a context of how things are moving fast, Not only like MedPalm, MedGemini, or the work that we are doing at our team, indeed LLMs and LLMs in medical domains, building on power of foundation models, such as in-context learning, that makes our life very easy to adapt this model in clinical setting, been rapidly evolving. With more than 200 new foundation models introduced since 2023. Several open access and commercial language models that we have over the past year only. These models are capable of pushing and performing very well. And benchmarks such as USMLE that had been a grand challenge like 2 years ago, right now completely saturated, as you can see. We are at 90% basically plus accuracy using the LLMs that are there. So to provide another data point, I mentioned earlier that given widespread interest and the cost reduction that we see, we are seeing in it exponential increase in the number of research papers that we are seeing at the intersection of AI for healthcare, life science. Last year, we had 50,000 papers coming in this space, which is a very huge number. But in reality, and unfortunately, I think that we are experiencing decline in the disruptive work that we are seeing. And translation of this method actually to clinical impact been very, very slow. Interestingly enough, in my belief, I think that from the technical point of view, the transformative power of and the potential of AI in medicine that once we dreamed many years ago seems within reach. I believe that the technical roadmap to move from generalist capabilities around one, like maybe medical image or limited number of signals, to truly general agents that they are capable of mapping from like molecular mechanism to medical images to up to biosensors and beyond that is very clear. We have the technology. And like we have the computational capability right now, in honesty, to produce groundbreaking science. And our awareness around like bias, risk, and safety requirement of these very capable models are at the highest level in history. So we can easily envision the path to have multiple very exciting innovation for enabling clinical decision support, disease forecasting, personalized medicine, biomarker discovery that we heard about it today, and even designing of a digital twin. But we are seriously slowing down by data and regulation that is like around the data. To move from foundational model valley that we are right now in, we must bring computation that we have closer to the data that they are siloed in our hospital while we are protecting sensitive information. And we need to improve biobanks curations and address biases that are coming with these biobanks. And from the clinical side and from the benchmarking sides, we are also stuck. We need benchmark that translate directly to patient care. Or doctors are interested in optimizing clinical workflow. They are interested in augmenting the capabilities that we can bring into the table. And we need to work on tasks that they are important for our clinician while we are maintaining a standard measure and metrics, as been like discussed multiple times today. We need benchmarks that we can actually rely on them and reproduce the science that we are creating here. With that, healthcare industry generates over 30% of world's new data annually. And much of this information held in electronic medical report, and they are siloed. And we should admit that we are very we are in a very early stage of understanding the opportunities of this new AI technology and the way that we can transfer our research actually to reality for groundbreaking work. Thanks for listening, and thanks to many of collaborators that I had, like at DeepMind, at Google, and some of them, they are here with us. Thank you so much.